bringing guns to the knife fight.
Hi guys, welcome to an interesting video on Wild Rift. So today we're back with a Jinx complete guide. So now, as you guys have been seeing, I've been covering what I deem to be the top champions, top ADCs I should say. Even actually some champions like Janna, Orianna, you know, and Corki, who I deem to be the top champions, because I feel that creating guides on more meta champions will be more useful for you guys, because you know, meta champions in general will be better to learn since they are meta for a reason. So today we have Jinx, which is more or less the last meta AD carry that I have not yet covered. I've covered Kai'Sa, I've covered Xayah, I've covered Ezreal, I've covered Corki. So now it's like the 5th best AD carry probably is Jinx. So today we're going to be covering Jinx. Alright, so Jinx Lulu has actually slowly been coming back up into the meta, which is a pretty interesting trend, because after Lulu got nerfed, the Jinx Lulu combo pretty much fell off completely, and now Jinx Lulu is slowly creeping back into the meta, so it's a really good time to learn Jinx now. So without further ado, we're going to jump into the practice mode to talk about her skills and leveling order. So for Jinx's leveling order, it's honestly really straightforward, which is really good for me to explain. So basically, level 1, you honestly have an option between your W and your Q. So for your W, you use it to poke, and for your Q, you also use it to poke, but it depends on your personal preference to some extent. I personally always take Q level 1, but I have seen some people take W, and I can understand why. So if you do like to take W at level 1, go ahead. Level 2, you'll take W, level 3, you'll take E, so you have all 3 abilities. Then you'll max your Q, then your ultimate, taking ultimate whenever available, and then after that max your W, and then after that max your E, and of course as usual ultimate whenever available. So pretty easy, pretty simple, straightforward leveling order. So now we're just gonna run all the way to our usual spot and, you know, explain what she does. So first up, her passive is get excited. So basically, whenever you have whenever you get a kill, assist, or a tower takedown, you will get excited. What that means is you will gain movement speed as well as attack speed, and it's a sizable amount of movement and attack speed. So Jinx, this is the best and worst part of Jinx, because Jinx, to so-called common line, you kind of need to get a kill in the team fight, and then you'll start to kill everybody else. But on the flip side, if you don't get a kill, you're not really playing at your full potential, which is when you're excited. So that is both the best and the worst part of Jinx, because when you get a kill, you just go on a rampage, so that's really good. But if you don't, you kind of just get stuck there. So the only way to show you how it works is I can kill this Darius over here. So here, this is my normal attack speed. I'm gonna kill the Darius. As you guys can see, I gain a ton of movement speed and a lot of attack speed, which of course decays. So now at this point, I am like back to normal attack speed. Alright, so let's explain her abilities. So first up, we have her first skill, which is swapping gun. So as you guys can see, I'm on the minigun now. So on the minigun, if you guys look at the ability circle, whenever you attack, there's a stack. So what happens when you get stacks is you attack faster. So now I'm at 3 stacks, and this is going to increase my attack speed to, this is the max, so-called maximum attack speed that you can gain from the minigun. So minigun is single target, and it doesn't cost any mana. However, if you switch your weapon, we're going to put another dummy here. If you switch weapon, you'll go to your rocket launcher. So in a rocket launcher, actually the enemy is too far away, so it does do AoE and it costs mana. But okay, let's try this on. Yep, so as you guys can see, I'm shooting at 1, but all 3 are getting hit for the damage, and as you guys can see, my mana is going down. So something to note is that if you're at minigun and you have stacks and you switch to the rocket launcher, the first shot of your rocket launcher can actually benefit from your minigun stacks when it comes to the attack speed, but following shots do not. So you can, one thing you can do in lane is you can attack a minion and you swap over and use your rocket launcher to attack the enemy, which you will see I do in the gameplay later on. Now, the thing to note is the rocket launcher has longer range than the minigun. So this is the minigun's range. I'm barely hitting this enemy at the very edge of my range. But if you guys see, if I switch to the rocket launcher, you know, I can easily hit the circle is past the enemy, well, whereas this one, the circle is before the enemy. So I gotta step forward a little bit. So here, like that, this is at the very edge of the range, and with this, you know, I have a little bit more range, just a little bit more range, which actually really matters in matchups in the bot lane, because, you know, range is everything. Now, her next ability is her W. It's pretty long range, and it does damage, of course, but it also reveals enemies. So here, you guys will see it takes quite a while to fire off. It's really long range, but you can see there's like a half-second delay when firing it off. So then there is that warning line, much like the Jin W, where you can actually see it coming before it actually comes. So it is flashable, it is dodgeable, but when it hits, it actually does slow and reveal. So here we know that there's a dummy in there. I just put it in there. So here you guys can see you can use it to check for bushes. So this is something to note, is that like if you're walking into somewhere without vision, you can use it. Just, you know, check, see if there's any enemy in there. Nobody home. So that is something important to note. Next is her E, is her traps. So you guys can see there's going to be 3 traps placed down. When you put it down, there's like half a second delay before the traps activate. When they turn green, they activate, or in the enemy's case, if it turns red, it activates. So if any enemy walks into it, it will explode and deal a little bit of damage. But the more important part is that it will root the enemy. So this is like your main form of disengage. See the root and explosion there. Your main form of disengage, generally the best way to use it is 2 ways. The first way is if these are my enemies and they're chasing me, I just put it between us and I continue running. Of course, the thing you want to note is you never want to put it directly at their feet. So if this is the current position of me and my enemies now, and we are both running towards this way, I don't want to put it here, because by the time it activates, they run past it. So I want to put it somewhere like here, so that by the time it activates, they reach there and they get rooted. The other way of using it is against, which is, in my opinion, it's the worst way of using it, but, you know, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do, which is if I'm attacking enemies like that, and they're running away, I need to get up really close to them to put the trap behind them, to give the trap enough time to activate so that they will run into the trap. Now, the reason why I don't really like this way of using the trap is you have to walk right into the enemy's face, and as a squishy AD carry with no mobility at all, that is definitely not what you want to do. Of course, the exception is if you're really fat, if you have a Lulu protecting you, or if you are already excited, you can just quickly, you know, run in, put the traps, run out because of your increased movement speed, then sure, go ahead. But generally, it's not really recommended. So now, her ultimate, you know, really iconic super mega death rocket is a global ultimate. Of course, you pretty much just launch a rocket that does AoE damage. So just to show you the AoE damage, we're just going to shoot it right over at this cluster over here. Boom, it dealt damage to all of them, and it is, of course, global, so we're going to put ourselves to no cooldown, and we're going to show that off. So we're going to just shoot the rocket here. You can hold the ultimate to actually look at where it's traveling, much like the Ezreal ultimate. So again, you know, if we launch it, we're not going to have a small screen to look at it, but we can press and hold to see where it goes. Missed the Darius that time, but not that that's important. So yeah, that's just something to note. So that is it for her skills, abilities, and leveling order. Now we're going to quickly move on to the builds and the runes, as well as the spells, of course. So over here, these there are actually a couple of builds for Jinx. Really, there are a lot of variations. So this is the first build for Jinx, and this is the second build for Jinx. And yeah, so first build for Jinx is the Blade of the Rune King build. That's Infinity Edge. Blade of the Rune King build. So as you guys can see, Blade of the Rune King, you do get a little bit of AD, attack speed, and vamp. Of course, we have the passives as well. But we can also go for first item Infinity Edge, which just gives attack damage and critical damage, and of course the increased crit damage. But personally, I prefer the Blade of the Rune King as my first item, because I feel like attack speed on Jinx is very important, and starting off with Infinity Edge, you get more damage, so it's trading off damage and attack speed. So on Jinx, who really needs attack speed, I prefer to get I prefer to get Blade of the Rune King for the attack speed, a little bit of attack damage, of course the lifesteal and all the other good stuff. But I have also gone for Infinity Edge first item on a couple of occasions, because with Infinity Edge first item, you will be doing a lot of damage. So you will power spike earlier in a sense. So with the crit build, you pretty much just go for Infinity Edge, then Runa's Hurricane, Moral Reminder, Guardian Angel, and a third crit item, normally Phantom Dancer for the increased survivability. But with the Bork build, you'll go for Bork first, which is what I normally go for. Bork first into Infinity Edge. Now the major power spike you have is after you complete your Infinity Edge and after you complete your Runan's Hurricane. Because after you complete your Infinity Edge, you have both attack speed and damage. And after you complete your Runan's Hurricane, you have attack speed, attack damage, and AoE. Even more AoE attacks, I should say. Because Runan's Hurricane synergizes with your Rocket Launcher as well. It does do the Runan's Hurricane damage in addition to your Rocket Launcher damage. So that is something to note. It stacks together. So, of course, with your boots, you will always go for the lifesteal boots generally, unless, you know, the team is full AP or full AD or something. And for your enchant, it's Quicksilver or Zhonya's as per usual. Then for your next item, you'll go for a Mortal Reminder. Of course, pretty much every AD carry needs to take Mortal Reminder for both the Grievous Wounds as well as the Armor Penetration. And for my last item, I normally go for a Guardian Angel for more survivability. But here is the problem with the Bork build. You have the Bork, you have 2 crit items, but generally with a crit build, you kind of want to sit at the 3 crit item mark to have, you know, a high enough crit chance for you to crit nearly every attack. So with the Bork build, you don't really have that. So what some people do is, instead of going for the Guardian Angel last item, they instead go for another crit item as their last item, such as the Phantom Dancer. So you can go for Phantom Dancer last item, but with this you have no Guardian Angel, and personally, as an immobile AD carry, I prefer the Guardian Angel, but this last item slot is kind of personal preference. If you go for the Bork build and you feel like you want more damage, go for the Phantom Dancer, or you feel like you're not dying, the enemy team doesn't have a dive comp, they don't have assassins, and you have a nice front line or a Janna to peel for you, or Lulu, you know, go ahead, go for the Phantom Dancer. But in general, this is the build that I go for. Now for the runes, pretty straightforward. There's no lethal tempo here, so you gotta go for Conqueror. Conqueror is pretty much the only viable rune on Jinx. Fleet does not really benefit her all too much, which is why Conqueror is normally the way to go. Now for the first rune choice, there are actually a number of options. First off, the obvious choice, Brutal. Secondly, we have Gathering Storm, because Jinx is a late game hyper carry who wants to scale into the late game, so it is actually viable to go for Gathering Storm on Jinx. Probably the most viable on people like Jinx and Vayne. You know, but I don't like Gathering Storm in general. Hunter Vampirism, you can go for it, especially if you don't go for the Bork build. If you don't go for the Bork build, I really recommend Hunter Vampirism, but with the Bork build, I think Brutal should be fine. You don't really need that much Vamp, so Hunter Vampirism, not really, and the rest of them don't really have to talk about. Champion is not a good idea because Jinx, really immobile, really weak early game, so really easy to die early, so you don't want to go for Champion. Second, Resolve Rune. As I've said, Resolve Rune is always about personal preference. Personally, I like Tenacity. I like Hunter Titan for the Tenacity and the max health, so I always go for Hunter Titan. But you know, this is generally your own choice. And for the last one, as you guys know, I love Sweet Tooth for the extra heal and mana. But if you don't want to go for Sweet Tooth, Hunter Genius and Mastermind, in fact, is also a really good idea, because Jinx takes down towers really fast. If you stand there and auto-attack the towers a few times with the minigun, you will get the increased attack speed, you'll take down towers really fast, and after you take down towers, you get excited as well, which of course doesn't actually benefit the Mastermind rune, but you know, it's just something to take note. So for the spells, general standard AD carry spells, Barrier or Heal, depending on what you need. I go Barrier more often than Heal on Jinx, just because of how she has no mobility and how it's really easy to kill her, particularly in the early game. But you know, with all that out of the way, if you like what you guys are seeing, this is a new edition. Please, you know, like, comment, and subscribe. And now we'll actually move on to the gameplay. Alright, so here we have the ranked gameplay, of course. So today I've picked Jinx because I've seen that my lane opponent is Vayne. So now, as you guys know, Vayne and Kai'Sa, they have pretty much the lowest range of all the AD carries, and Jinx has a higher basic attack range than her, especially with the rocket launcher. You know, I can get a really big range advantage against Vayne. So I picked Jinx because it's really, I can scale really safely. Pretty much the main threat on the enemy team is the Lee Sin, because Lee Sin can come in and just, you know, burst me and kill me. But that's why I have the Janna. Of course, I'm dueling with the Janna, so Janna can protect me, especially with her tornado to interrupt the Lee Sin engage. So I should, in theory, be pretty safe as long as I don't overstep, don't overextend, don't make any mistakes. But yes, so here we are at the start of rainy phase. It's going to be pretty tame. For now, we're going to see S, but you know, I'm going to be looking to poke them as much as possible with my rocket launcher. As you guys see there, I swap from minigun to rocket launcher. I hit my W on the Vayne. Janna is poking with her W as well. Look at the advantage we're getting. Vayne is half health. She has to take the plant. Me and Janna have taken a little bit of damage, but that's not really important in the grand scheme of things, because we have already gained an advantage. They have already used their plant. Braum is still half health despite them using the plant already, so we have a very significant lane advantage. So now, the fact that I picked Jinx into a Vayne Braum pretty much covers my entire weakness of having a weak laning phase, because Braum is melee. He can't really do anything to me. He's not an enchanter support. He can't catch me out with his with like a Lux root or anything. Of course, there is a Lux in the mid lane, but she's not playing support. Vayne has a really low range, so she can't poke me, or she can't actually do anything to me at all. What this means is that it's really safe for me, which is why I picked Jinx this game, to just pretty much just poke them with my W and with my rocket launcher auto attacks, and there's pretty much nothing they can do to me. As you guys can see, you know, we have managed to shove them under tower. Braum is half health, Jinx is about 3/4 health, and you know, there's really nothing they can do about it. I'm nearly full health, and the only thing that they can really do is get Lee Sin to come and gank for them. But other than that, Braum and Vayne is not gonna be able to do anything against me. And here I hit another auto attack W onto the Braum, so Braum is really low. Here, Janna has been taking some damage in the trade, so she's just going to go back and take the fruit. In the meantime, we're going back to clearing the minions and poking them out. As you guys can see, I'm positioning very aggressively. I'm walking up. Here, Janna gets a nice tornado. I get a nice W. We ignite her, and I get some nice auto attacks. Janna is on 1 HP. Vayne is on 1 HP as well. And the barrier is just enough to save Vayne. Here we are in a very sticky situation, because Lee Sin has actually come in and Janna's really low HP, but here Janna ults Lee Sin into the path of the tornado, and some top-notch Janna mechanics to keep herself alive right there. So here we both just hit level 5, thankfully for us. Janna used her ultimate to escape. I now have my super mega death rocket up, and of course when on my first back, I'm building towards my Blade of the Rune King, so getting both the components. So the laning phase is going pretty well for me, as you guys can see. Here I'm about 100 to 200 gold up on the Vayne so far, just from denying a couple of CS here and there from her. We're walking back into lane, and it's going to be business as usual. Braum puts up his shield really early, so we're just going to ignore that for now. And then we're going to poke him now that he doesn't have a shield anymore. So, you know, we of course we gotta always play around the enemy cooldowns here. Janna getting off good poke on the Vayne as well. Barely missing my W there, but it's not the most important. So Braum jumps forward for some reason. We're just gonna whack him despite his shield. We're just gonna auto attack him down. There's nothing they can do, so he's just taking free damage. Yes, he's taking reduced damage, but it's free. So here Braum ultimate, bam! I get the kill on the Braum. And I'm really low, but Janna's protecting me. Unfortunately, I die because of the stun. The stun came from Braum's concussive blows passive, because I already got hit by the Vayne Condemn previously, and so Vayne obviously didn't have a Condemn up. So at this point in time of the game, I was actually wondering, like, wait a minute, how did I die? But then I realized it was the Braum passive. So if the Braum passive didn't proc, it is really possible that me and Janna actually get the kill on the Vayne, because of my. Because I already got excited, so I got my increased attack speed, so I'm attacking really fast. I did have my Vam Scepter for the lifesteal, and you know, Janna was there shielding me as well, so there was actually a decent chance that we actually do get the kill on the double kill on the Vayne as well. But unfortunately, Braum's passive propped. and you know, I get punished for my aggression because of the Braum passive. Here, of course, I'm just attacking the Braum for free again. Here, Janna tanks tower for me. I flash forward to try to get the kill on the Braum. Unfortunately, I don't, and Lee Sin turns up, so I'm gonna have to, you know, path around. And Rengar has ulted. He wants to go for the dive. Boom, he goes for the dive on the Lee Sin. Unfortunately, Vayne condemns. So here, I'm gonna just get a long range ultimate just to clean up the kill on the Lee Sin, and I'm gonna back off. Really nice aiming from me. Not so much by the Lux though. Lux misses us, doesn't really time her ultimate correctly, so he just managed to walk out. And I have completed my Blade of the Rune King, as you guys can see, and I'm gonna now get my boots and a long sword. Or actually, I'm gonna get the vamp boots. Yeah, there we go. I'm gonna get the vamp boots. So now at this point, I have 2 vamp items, both my Blade of the Rune King as well as my Gluttonous Greaves. So at this point in time, my sustain shouldn't be an issue anymore. And then I'm just gonna continue, you know, building towards the Infinity Edge. Alright, so here we're just gonna catch the wave. And Janna and Braum pretty much doing nothing much. They're just trying their best to just farm up. Vayne is also someone who just wants to get to the late game. Something to note is that Vayne is actually 1-0-0. So we have been bullying them this entire game. Vayne is not actually behind whatsoever. Here, Lee Sin is trying to help them again. Lee Sin is actually playing really well as well. Seeing how aggressive we are, coming and ganking us so often is a good thing. This is the 3rd time that he turned up. So it is good on the Lee Sin. And Vayne is actually not behind at all. We barely missed the kill on Vayne twice. Both of the times she was ignited, but she didn't actually fall to the ignite. So we actually don't, we do have a goal lead on the Vayne. However, she hasn't actually died, so the goal lead is minimum, and it's mainly from my kill. Actually, I have 1 kill up on her, about 300 gold, and my lead on her is about 300 gold. So, you know, it's not a lot. So it's not like we have just won the game off the early game already, because Vayne hasn't actually died. Braum has been at some questionable positions. He has died once, but you know, he hasn't. Vayne hasn't died herself, so that is something to know. Here I'm just going full onto the Braum, and I hit a point-blank super mega death rocket for the kill. Now you guys have seen both the ways I use the rocket already. Actually, there's a 3rd way, but we're gonna get into that later. The first way is for the long-range snipes, like on the Lee Sin. Here, Vayne does really well to respect my passive onto the tower. So I kill the tower. You see her that the moment that the tower is about to fall down, she just walks away because she knows that I'm gonna proc my passive, and she's gonna be in deep trouble if that happens. So she just walks away. Really good on the Vayne, understanding how Jinx works. So as I said, first way, of course, the long range poke here, just popping the blast plant so enemies can't get into the pit in that way. Alright, back to the commentary actually. So here I'm gonna root the Lee Sin, hit everything on the Lee Sin. Lee Sin still gonna be able to get into the pit, but he dies, doesn't manage to smite the dragon. So yeah, the first way to use the ultimate long range. Second way to use your ultimate short range, just right in their face so you can't miss and you get off a lot of damage. Your ultimate does a lot of damage, so don't hesitate to use it just at point blank range like I did there, just to, you know, finish up the kill. It's a huge burst of damage compared to your auto attacks. So here, I see, if you guys see Lux's health bar on the bottom right, really low. I'm just gonna launch super mega death rocket long range to get the kill onto the Lux there. So here is the 2 uses of the ultimate. There's the last use of the ultimate, which you will not see in this match because my team is at the advantageous position at the moment. Here I'm gonna just proc my passive onto the tower before turning around to help Diana against the Lee Sin. For like the first 2 seconds there, I was not just ignoring my teammate, the fact that she was in trouble, but I needed to kill the tower to proc my passive so that I get the increased attack speed so that I can help to kill the Lee Sin. So that's something to note there, is that my decision making there was important. If I had turned onto the Lee Sin, the tower will be up, it will be blasting me and Diana, and we both die to the Lee Sin. So the last way to use your ultimate is to snipe objectives. So the super mega death rocket does AoE, and if let's say the entire enemy team is in the Baron pit or in the Dragon pit and you launch it and the objective is at low health, the explosion from the super mega death rocket can't actually steal the objective because it actually outdamages smite. Now, most junglers know this, but there's a few abilities that can outdamage smite. The super mega death rocket, the Evelyn's ultimate, the last caress, and the Ziggs ultimate, the mega inferno bomb. These 3 abilities will actually outdamage your smite, so this is something to take note. For for Ziggs and Evelyn, it's a little bit harder to counter, but for Jinx, there's actually a simple way to counter this strategy, which is that if you know where the Jinx is, like if the Jinx is roughly at base, you just need to get someone to stand away from the objective just to tank the Jinx rocket, so that the Jinx rocket doesn't get AoE onto the Baron or the Dragon. So that is the way to counter that way of using the Jinx rocket. But the third way of using the Jinx rocket is, of course, to steal objectives. So that is just, you know, something for you guys to take note of, is that can be done, and it has been done a lot of times. I'm sure most people here have been a victim of that, or, you know, have done it themselves. Here, the enemy bot lane gets caught. Me and Diana both cast our ultimates, and they both die just to our insane burst. Here, of course, Renekton and Lee Sin can be spotted in the bot side, so we're just going to freely push up the top side because no one is going to stop us. No reason to stop now. Lee Sin just dies to the Rengar over there. Lux, of course, we can see her mid, but it's 3v1, so Lux doesn't respect the fact that I get my passive proc on the tower, and she gets instantly exploded by the fact that, you know, I get excited. So at this point, we're really strong. We've hit our major power spike of the Blade of the Rude King Infinity Edge already, and we of course have our lifesteal boots. So we're gonna get a Quicksilver Sash enchant, and we're gonna build towards you know, our next crit item. So reason for QSS is that there's a lot of things to QSS this game. There is the Vayne Condemn, the Braum Concussive Blows, the Renekton W, and the Lux Binding. So there is a lot of things to QSS this game, and as a Jinx, I don't want to be stuck in some CC, so I'm just going to pick up the QSS, and we're already like about halfway to the Runan's Hurricane as well, which is our next major power spike, of course. So here Dragon is about to spawn, so we're just going to set up for Dragon here, putting down the vision. Lee Sin actually goes in on Janna, so I'm just going to come over just to back her up. I managed to run straight into a Lux Binding, and I'm pretty sure Lux wasn't even aiming for me. I just happened to run right into Lux Binding. So here I get off Super Mega Death Rocket. Is not quite enough to pick up the kill. Lee Sin was really low, and I actually hit him, but it didn't do enough damage. Here, Janna, of course, just going to protect me. Renekton is doing the right thing, trying to dive me on the back line, but Janna is doing really well of protecting me. So here I'm just going to auto attack down the Renekton, and I do get the kill on the Renekton on the fadeaway. So, but you know, Janna and Diana died. It's a 2-for-1 trade, so not the best for our team. But at this point in time, our team has like more than a 10k goal lead, so it doesn't really matter. We have taken down 6 towers, and we already secured the dragon. So, not too much the enemy can do at this point. So, and you know, Jack's also getting the split push off, you know, on the bot side of the map. So, you know, pretty much we already have an inhib. So it's really hard for the enemy team at this point. Here I'm just going to take the red buff because I have already completed my Runan's Hurricane. This is, you know, Jinx's major power spike, another major power spike for Jinx. So here, you know, I'm really strong at this point in time, and I have the most gold in the game at this point in time, closely followed by Diana, who's also doing really well. Here I'm just going to do the dragon. The enemy team actually turns up to the dragon. Janna's just going to be distracting them. So here, you know, I'm just gonna keep shooting the dragon. We don't exactly have Rengar with us, but I managed to somehow secure the Ocean Dragon from the Lee Sin. I thought that this dragon was gone because Rengar wasn't here. Lee Sin turned up, and I pretty much thought it was gone. But you know, somehow we actually get the dragon. I get the kill on the Lee Sin. I get excited. I flash the Lux ultimate. Really important that I die. I get a point blank Super Mega Death Rocket for the kill on the Vayne as well. That fight, honestly, for me was really well played. If I didn't flash the Lux ultimate, I was dead. And you know, if I didn't focus the dragon, we lose the dragon. So I pretty much did everything right on that fight somehow, some way. And we pick up another tower. Renekton shows up, not really where he wants to be. He gets stunned up by Jax, you know, and you know, he dies to our absurd amounts of damage at this point. So we're just gonna take down another inhib. Bam. And of course I get hit by everything from Lux, but Janna is there to protect me. I'm pretty low, but you know, we're just gonna quickly you know, the enemy team is mid trying to focus down the minions there, so I'm just gonna pick up the last inhib. So enemy team has no towers left. We pick up every single tower. Lee Sin is coming in. I knew he was gonna do that, so I put the root there. I actually managed to root both the Lee Sin and the Braum. Now this match, one thing I would like to say is I haven't actually gotten the best E placements on the match, but you know, it's still alright. I still have had some okay ones, but yeah, I'm not the best at placing the Jinx E, I gotta be honest, but you know, it's still alright. We're still doing really well. So at this point in time, it's just a matter of time before we pick up the win on the enemy team. I pick up the Mortal Reminder here, which allows me to kill the Braum and the Renekton especially a lot more easily because they are pretty tanky. The rest of the team obviously pretty squishy, but at this point in time, what can the enemy team really do? We're just gonna pick up the Baron. They can't even contest at this point because there are super minion waves pushing at all 3 lanes, and they have to clear out the minions. If they come and contest this, the minions will just win the game for us. So there's really nothing they can do against us. I secure the Baron. As usual, Rengar does not turn up to the fight. Instead, he's ulting. He's probably gonna hunt somebody down. And at this point in time, the game is over. We have all 3 waves converging on enemy nexus. We have the Baron minions. I timed Super Mega Death Rocket perfectly to get out for Vayne to get out the Zhonya's right into my rocket. And I don't even care about the kills. I focus the nexus for the victory. And there we have the victory. So now, first change you guys saw in the video was the like, comment, and subscribe. Request and the animation. Next change you guys are gonna see is here. I'm not actually gonna discuss the builds of everybody in the game anymore or the damage, because you guys can, as I'm flashing it over here, you guys can see it for yourself. I don't want to spend too much time discussing it, making the video too long. So thanks for watching the video, guys, and goodbye.